All right, so just finishing up doing all the wiring. Put the belt guard, clutch cover holder back on, put the brace back in, make sure you put the rubber band back around it just to hold your spark plug wires up and out of the way. As you can see, it's all nice and tidy right there, the best you can with as much wiring as you have. These are a little bit loose right here in case you ever want to add anything to that. I've also made it so that I can access my fuse with my side panel open, so it's just right here, and if I ever need to. I've gone ahead and wired up my gauges, and the power wire, what I've done is I actually trimmed it back to length so it was shorter rather than having a whole bunch of extra wire, because you're only using the power and ground off of your air fuel mixture gauge. The other wire over here, it's really super long, so I'm actually going to cut it here. Since you've got so much extra here, I'm going to cut it. Well, maybe I'll give it a little bit extra. Cut it, trim the end off of it, and I'm going to solder it back together and make a nice good connection so that it's not, I don't have 10 feet of coiled wire up underneath my hood. To me, it's just more about making it look factory. I know it's not, but it needs to look nice. So anyway, I've also run my boost lines. So back over here, of course, the PTO side off the throttle body goes to the blow-off valve. The one on the mag side goes over to the fuel control module. And then on your new air box, you've got two lines. One of those goes over to the turbo, to your wastegate, and the other one goes to the boost gauge up on top. And I have not, of course, cut that one to length yet because I'm waiting to get the wiring done so that I can trim it and tie it and make it all nice and neat. So really what I've done is basically put everything back together, tidied everything up, and if you can look from the front, it's still, you know, my cameraman had a good idea. This is from the factory, so if that's there and it's not melting from the exhaust, this should be good. It's up out of the way. It's not going to interfere with my steering column. Shouldn't interfere with anything, any working mechanisms at all. I routed everything up over right below the steering post and zip tied it so that it doesn't interfere with the steering post. So on the hood airbox piece, we need to remove, of course, this noise, EPA, foam, water collecting material. So we got to remove these push-on screws. The easiest way I've found it is I just use a pair of flush nose dikes and just rotate it toward you, and they just come right off. If you had to, you could reuse them. You just, okay. And as you can see, that gets that off there. So we got 4 bolts we've got to remove. The 2 here on the side, and then we've got 2 up here on the front, and you've got to use a 8mm socket on the back side of these ones. Once you 2 on each side, right below. Actually, it's just on that side. So this piece right here goes bye-bye. So basically, that's what you have, and the cold air slides right into there and uses the stock vents and everything else. I routed all my piping. On the intake, the charge tube, there is a short side and a long side to the elbow. Just make sure the short side is toward the turbo, long side goes up into the cold air intake, into the intake piece. So pretty much that's about it. Just nice and tight, fits in, everything's good to go. I did end up moving the fuel control module to the ECU side right here. It was hitting my panel on the other side, so I mounted it up right there. Other than that, that pretty much wraps it up. Our harness that TPI supplies with the kit. So that pretty much is it. I rotated my boost gauge to be straight up around 8 pounds. That way when I look down at it, I can see if I'm over 8, then I'm in trouble. I've got it set up for about 6.5 right now, and we'll see how that goes. But pretty much when you're doing the tubing, also just make sure you should have about a finger gap behind here. That way it doesn't hit your frame too bad. You just have to adjust your 45 a little bit and the airbox piece. But other than that, that pretty much wraps it up for the Sonic X turbo install on the 2018 Freeride with shot.